You see that face? You know what that face is? That is the smug face of somebody who was proven correct. And the best part, it's right after, caught in 8K, you're even told by your friends you're wrong. So you're probably thinking, okay, what are we talking about? What are you even trying to say? What were you proven right about? Well, my friends, it turns out, after many hurt feelings and being told I was wrong, images might actually be better for models than text. I knew it!
Don't make it do image recognition on that, dude.
No, you just do this. What are you talking about?
Haters gonna hate.
Now, this isn't just me saying this, of course. This is actually Deepseek releasing a new paper that suggests that if you provide images, you could pull out 10 text token from a single image token with near 100% accuracy. In other words, a model's internal representation of an image is 10 times efficient as its internal representation of text. Meaning, not only do you get the correct information out, that you also get it way more efficient. And I know a lot of you right now keep running up against limits with Fable, okay? You get like one prompt into it and you're like, I'm already out. Maybe, just maybe, this is the balm you need to apply to those Fable wounds. What an analogy. There's also been a bit of research into this, apparently claiming that, yes, you're actually gonna get 59 to 70% lower end-to-end bill by using images. And yes, I myself even did a bit of research, spent 2 billion tokens for this video. Hey, that's dedication. All right, so before we get into the nitty-gritty details, I would first like to say thank you to my sponsor, Tokens. Dad, could you teach me how to vibe code today?
Doesn't look like I have time for that, son. My database is down again.
Oh, maybe tomorrow.
Not again. Go long, son.
Teach, gotta go fast.
Hey, Teach, how do you have time to play with your kid? Isn't your database always down?
What do you mean? I chose PlanetScale, the database for the consumer who wants their downtime to be with their kid. Nice catch, son! Thanks for choosing PlanetScale. You're the best dad ever!
No studies have confirmed PlanetScale makes you a better father, but it is a really good database.
Sorry, I was just feeling so vindicated. I just had to keep on making that face. So this blog post by Sean Geodek goes into quite a bit of detail about why these things can happen, and even gives an example by George Mandes here about other fun ways you can compress data and send it off to OpenAI or any of these model providers. And this one involves just simply running your audio through FFmpeg and just speeding it up by 2 to 3x. You will save massive amounts of tokens, and it gets the same results. Okay, so back to the images. Why would images work better than text? So with text, you say exactly what you want to say. It can input and process each one of those tokens and moves on, right? That seems rather simple. Whereas with images, doesn't it have to do a bunch of processing? How is this not using a bunch more tokens? So here's his basic explanation. Optical compression is pretty unintuitive for many software engineers. Why on earth would an image of text be expressible in fewer tokens than text itself? In terms of raw information density, an image obviously contains more information. Goes on to kind of say like, hey, type out the word dog. It's way bigger in an image, right? The first explanation is that text tokens are discrete while image tokens are continuous. Each model has a finite number of tokens, say around 50,000, and each of those tokens correspond to embeddings of, say, 1,000 floating point numbers. The text tokens thus occupy a scattering of single points in a space of all possible embeddings. What he's trying to say is that just imagine a floating point somewhere between 0 to 1, and you have 1,000 of them. You could have so many different variations, right? An infinite number of different variations. But with text tokens, they actually have a concrete, discrete value. One text token to a single, combination of 1,000 floating point numbers. Thus, there's only 50,000 possible representations you could have in an infinite space. So very, very unoccupied space. By contrast, the embeddings of an image tokens is any sequence of those 1,000 numbers. In other words, it's continuously through that. They can have all sorts of different variations. Much, much more data can fit into those 1,000 numbers. So an image token can be far more expressive than a series of text tokens. Another way of looking at the same intuition is that text tokens are a really inefficient way of expressing information. This is often obscured by the fact that text tokens are reasonably efficient in the way of sharing information, meaning me and you can send messages to each other, and that makes perfect sense. But for an LLM, that's a little bit different. So long as the sender and receiver both know the list of all possible tokens, when you send an LLM a stream of tokens, it outputs the next one. You're not passing around slices of 1,000 numbers for each token. You're passing a single integer that represents a token ID. But inside the model, this is expanded to a much more inefficient representation. Inefficient because it encodes some amount of information about the meaning and use of the token. So it's not surprising that you could do better than text tokens. He also makes an argument about the brain, how, when you look at a word, even if the letters are slightly mixed up, you can still just read the word. And so that humans actually operate more on images is the general argument, and says LLMs are supposed to be some sort of representation of our brain, therefore it works. I'm not really into brain comparisons. I'm not quite sure if we even know how exactly the brain works, and so not knowing how something works and then comparing it to something we also don't really know exactly how it works is not necessarily the greatest way to make an analogy for me. But anyways, I digress. I digress there for a second. To me, this actually just makes sense, and I think it makes much more sense looking at this. If you just look at this image for 1 second, this is an error from the compiler in Rust. You immediately know what went wrong and how to fix the error. You don't have to read all of those text tokens to be able to understand what's happening. There's something kind of magical about images because they encode so much more information than you realize. And this is obviously like pointing a gigantic arrow and saying, hey, here's the thing you should look at. And then this right here is also another gigantic arrow being like, this is the solution. So one can imagine that the image itself is actually encoding significantly more information, thus giving these models more context to operate on, thus having better results. So I thought I would give it a little bit of a try. I took my entire context file for my game that I currently am using. It's not the best context file, honestly. I think I could do a lot better, but it is a context file nonetheless, and I shoved it all into a singular image. I'm using something called pxpipe, pixel pipe, in which apparently they're using it with Fable, and this is the one that I was saying does 59 to 70% lower end-to-end bill. They have a whole bunch of information about this saying, hey, it's actually much, much better, that Fable 5 is actually operating just the same, that they're able to produce it with a lot less money going in and out. I mean, this obviously sounds pretty good, right? Well, I wanted to see, does it actually make a difference? And what did I test it on? Well, I tested it on my video game that I'm currently making. So as of right now, we're actually having pretty decent progress into the game. I can't believe I got Lonely Tower enhancement off the rip. Let's go. Oh my gosh, my tower is going to do so much damage right now. Don't worry about this, okay? The polish will come later. But this is just a simple tower defense game with ammo, with levels, with enhancements, with stat tables, all the fun stuff that you can throw on these and energy and all that. And I have a file that effectively just basically describes what's happening and how you play the game. More than just that, I can also play the game in JSON mode. So right now, it's running. It's letting you know it's ready. It's actually running the full game experience. The only difference is that it's running it in JSON mode. It's not running it in Raylib rendering to the screen mode. So if you want to move the mouse, you have to send in a mouse operation that says, okay, this is how I'm going to move. And if you do that, it just works. It actually moves the mouse and flows through the whole program. So the AI can control it through what appears to be something like MCP. So I ran 2 experiments. I effectively let the game be played by these models, 5 concurrently on my system, just running nonstop, playing the game over and over again for a couple hours. Now, these models are very slow at playing the game. So on the context as string, we had 50 successful games. Of those, here's basically the stats breakdown. Now, the thing you really want to look at is time. I think time is really, really important here. On average, it took about 9 minutes to play the game. Okay, that's pretty good, right? Second, you can see how much overall damage it did, starting from the 10th percentile all the way up to the 90th percentile, and of course, max. And you can see that it did a decent amount of damage. It ended up letting out so many enemies through before dying. It also had this many shots taken and hit, this much criticals being done. So overall, it did pretty good, right? I'm happy that I could see this. This right here means that it played the game really, really smart, meaning that it actually took a tower and placed certain cards in a very specific order, thus maximizing the damage. So a good percentage of the time, it actually made it to the point of maximizing the damage really, really well. Now, if we look at the context as an image side of things, I only got 23 successful games. And the reason being is if you look at the time was outrageous. Minimally, it was like 20 minutes on a game. The average time was about 20 minutes on a game, and some of the upper games were taking 30 minutes to play through. It was just significantly slower. But if you look at the damage isn't really that much different. It's lower on the max side, and it's pretty much higher all the way through, so it took a lot longer, but it did a lot more damage. But the weird part is these things that I'm trying to take out, which is the amount of enemies that reached the end before you died, meaning that a lot of enemies reached the end and had just higher amounts of health, thus doing more damage, thus killing the person much, much faster. And so it's like, okay, what can we really glean from this? Well, they have about the same amount of hits, so that's not really much different. The damage is near similar. Everything was about near similar except for the time. The time seemed to be horrible. And so my personal guess is that through the discovery of the server and maybe some light processing of the image, it was able to piece together, yes, I'm playing a tower defense game. Yes, I kind of know what I'm doing. Therefore, it just went and played, and it kind of could guess its way through. And I don't think it did nearly as well. And I think the time indicator is really what is kind of telling the truth here. Every single game just took massively longer. And I just didn't complete nearly as many games because it ended up being like 4 hours of running and a lot of tokens. And here are the statistics that I actually got out from Cursor itself. As you can see, the full context as a string had 324 events, $286. A bunch of tokens used, 306 million. The total tokens for the image context was only 213. Now remember, I played well less than half of the game. So again, what can I draw from this data? What I can draw from the data is that it's actually probably much harder and much more confusing to actually use this strategy, and you would probably want to do a bit of experimenting. For me to even get to this experiment, I had to spend about 1.5 billion tokens in just experiments to at least verifiably prove that things were going the way that I wanted them, that actual games were being played, that, you know, the objectives were being had. So at the end of the day, should you just go rush out and listen to Twitter and convert everything to images now? Probably not, but there actually could be a world where this actually makes a lot of sense, where a lot of good things could happen if you do it. And so like all solutions that you hear on the internet and all of the Twitter excitement, it always comes down to the classic senior engineer response. It depends. And you probably need to do the homework yourself. So please don't just listen to every last cool thing that's thrown across the internet. Instead, try things, experiment. Look for optimizations because you never know. Maybe there's something super duper cool. And also, just to be real, like a lot of these technologies, they're designed around text. Their primary input is text and all that. And so maybe there's an entire world where caching and all this other stuff just isn't optimized yet for images. So even if you are getting a win, maybe a much larger win could be coming down the pipe. If only we just wait a little bit and this technology is used more. So, you know, it's really, really hard to compare these things because it is a very kind of almost apple to oranges comparison. All right, hey, the name is the Primogen.